All right, I got some questions for you guys. What do you think is humanity's greatest need? Anybody? What do you think? Money. Money. Can you live without money? You know what? That's another question I just thought of. What's our greatest false needs? What's the greatest need? What do you think? NFL football. There we go. Are we in Canada? Anybody want to take a shot? There's no wrong answers. I'll kind of give you my take on it in a minute. Yeah. Food, water to provide energy. That's pretty much a huge need, yeah. What do you think is humanity's greatest need? And you're a human, so you can go down deep, go like, what do I need most? Okay, relationships, super important too. There's lots of studies on that, yeah. Salvation, ooh, spiritual. We must be at church. A cat. Okay. I did say there is no wrong answer, so maybe that is your greatest need. Anybody else? Yeah. Sleep. Ooh, that's a big one. Who would agree with we need sleep? Yeah. If you had a choice and you could stay awake but still be refreshed every day, who would still sleep? Anybody? I don't. There is something about sleeping. I'll give you that one. Anybody else? Greatest need, yeah, Nathan. And Oilers, not just to win a Stanley Cup. That is humanity's greatest need, yeah. Yeah, it's happened a few times. Anyone else want to give a shot? Well, I would say most of these answers were pretty dead on about great needs, right? So we have physical needs, so food, shelter, especially when you live in a place where it can get to minus 40, right? Need food, shelter, water, essential. You can't live for very long without water. We need sleep. You got to sleep. Crazy studies about what lack of sleep does to you. So you guys nailed it in the physical category. And then we had in the spiritual category, we had salvation, right? There's a need there. There's a great need. How about a emotional need? Do we have any like great emotional needs? Acceptance. Hey, there we go. Anything else? Compassion. Yeah, to be compassionate and to receive it, right? It's good. Anything else? Love. Everyone's quiet after that. They're like, oh, I should have thought of that. Yeah. I didn't catch, you started giggling before you said it. Guinea pig. Well, that's one of Darcy's emotional needs, yes. All right, you guys did great. That's awesome. Thank you for your feedback. Okay, 2 of the 3 things I'm going to be talking about you guys nailed. One was acceptance and one was love. The third one, once I start to talk, those of you who've been here before will know. But the third one is actually to be known. So did you guys know that there's a lot of studies out there right now, and it doesn't even sound real, but that loneliness is becoming a huge issue, not just because of how it makes us feel, but for your actual ability to live. I was like, wow. Somebody had said relationships, when we talked about greatest need, there is something about the way God's designed us that relationships are extremely important, even if you don't even like people. There are a few relationships, People are looking around. Is that you? We need some relationships. There's something the way that God's designed us. And some of the studies that I was just mentioned a minute ago here, talking about that loneliness can take incredible amounts of years off your life. And I'm talking like isolation type loneliness. That it does something deep inside you that you may not realize at first. And for some of us, we actually like to be alone. But this is a different kind of aloneness. This is deep, deep loneliness. And one of the things that kind of it breaks my heart is a lot of the studies have kind of singled out men, and it seems like women are nailing this way better than men. Is that most men don't have someone who's super, super close, who really, really knows them. And so I'm going to put this out there, and you guys can talk about it in your small group if you want. I think maybe the biggest, deepest, let's go with deepest need that we have is two things. It's to be loved and be known. Think about it for a second. Someone can love you but not know you fully, right? But if someone knows you and decides not to love you, I would say that's maybe one of our greatest fears. Maybe. To be known and then rejected. And I think it's one of the reasons we do a lot of hiding and we do a lot of kind of presenting an image. So when we're at school or when we're at church, we act a certain way, we try to look a certain way, simply because deep inside of us, the fear that you would be known for who you really are and rejected, I think is super deep. And I think it's in all of us. Thus, I also think that there's a need for you to be loved and to be known. Now, just on the outset, just right off the top, this is the way God loves us. He knows us fully. The Bible says you are fully known and completely loved by God. Let that sink in for a little bit. All your faults, flaws, mistakes, sins, everything you've ever done, everything that makes you who you are, God knows better than you. He knows you better than you. This is crazy to think about. And he loves you more than you can ever imagine. That's really difficult to, if you really think about it and talk about it, that is really difficult to accept. Because I think somewhere deep inside of us, there is that fear. If people really knew me, I'd just have to run. I'd be rejected. For example, if I was to take your thought life over the last week, and somehow through some magic ability, I was able to project it onto our screen here. What do you think you would do if all of a sudden your thoughts came up there from the past week? Everything you thought about other people, everything you thought about your parents, everything you thought about everything was up on the screen. What would you do? Anybody? Yeah, totally. I'd be like, yeah, it was a nice staying here. I gotta go. Isn't that a scary thought? There's a verse in Hebrews that talks about how deeply God knows you, and it's it's very interesting imagery that there's nothing in the way or blocking God from seeing everything about you. And so it talks about kind of being naked before God. And it's not just physical naked, it's everything. Your motives, your emotions, your body, your mind, your thoughts, everything is completely exposed in God's sight. He sees everything. Nothing is hidden from him. And the reason I'm saying that is I want to go back to this statement that God, He knows you better than you know yourself and loves you more than you can imagine. So that's the God that we're going to explore over the next 8 whatever months it is till the end of May. And I'm excited to do it with you. And so if we have a God like that, what sort of people should we be? What kind of environment should we be trying to create here at our Wednesday night Ignite youth service? And so here's kind of our language that we've used over I don't even remember when it started, but it was a long time ago. We want this place, not just the building, but this group of people, students, leaders, pastor, whoever. We want it to become a place where you can be loved, belong, and be known. That's our goal. Now, that's a tough goal because, like I just said, the greatest fear is to be known and then rejected. And so it's going to be hard work, but we're going to try our best to create that environment. We're going to fail a few times, but we're going to start with this. We want Ignite Wednesday nights to be a place where you can be loved. And actually, would say, I actually feel like they love me there. Not just the words, and so these nice little B statements, but we actually want you to experience love from us. That's our goal. We will make mistakes. I guarantee you. I will for sure. But if we have grace for each other and forgiveness, we can keep motoring on and try to create this space where you can be loved. One of the reasons I think this is super important, and it has been for every generation, but as I read more about Generation Z, value is a big, big deal. The feelings of worthlessness can be like almost paralyzing. Take us by surprise at all of a sudden. And maybe you're like, nope, I've had that since I was a little kid. Yeah. This is what's going on with our next generation. And it didn't start with you guys, by the way. The millennials fought the same thing. My generation is Generation X, same thing. Boomers, I don't know about boomers. Maybe they did, probably. But value. And so one of the reasons why we want you to actually experience love and walk away going like, I'm pretty sure they love me. This is a good place to be, is because you feel valued. Right? Are you with me? When someone expresses love and you feel loved, do you not feel valued? You feel valuable. And so I'm going to communicate that to you guys. All you guys are incredibly valuable. Like so much more valuable than you could ever think. The push against that statement is often in our own minds going like, no, you're not valuable. Don't listen. Yeah. And so that makes me mad because that's not God telling you you're not valuable, right? We have an enemy that wants you to think you're trash and so that you'll throw your life away. But it's not true. You're not trash. You're incredibly valuable, more valuable than you could ever imagine. So valuable that at one point in human history, God decided, and he had pre-decided this, but he decided that he would become a person, a man. Starting as a helpless baby, right? This kind of blows your mind when you really think about this vast God that we talk about and learn about was actually a baby? Like, seriously? Like, couldn't do anything for himself except maybe cry because he's hungry? Like, he was a real baby. Lived a life here on earth with us, and then died a horrible death that wasn't accidental, but was the whole thing what had been planned by God. And why would he die a horrible death? Because of love. He loved us and still loves us. And every time you start to doubt your value and whether you're loved, one of the things that we have as Christians, and I'm not assuming you're all Christians, but I mean, this is a Christian church, so we're going to talk about this. One of the things that you can always draw on when you have those feelings is that God sent Jesus for you. He died a horrible death because he loves you and he thinks you're valuable. We often just hear that story. If you've grown up in church, you've probably heard it a lot. You may not associate it with love or anything, or just kind of this love that's out there. But it's one of the images that God has given us, blessed us with, because we have the stories in the Bible, is that Jesus died because of love. Right? John 3:16, God so loved the world. He loves his creation, but he's talking about the people of the world. He loved the world so much that he gave his only son. What greater gift could you give? The life of your only son. So, when you hear that voice or that whatever it is, pushing back against your value, your worth, and that you're worthy of his love, think about Jesus. Think about what he did for us, dying on the cross to save us. Didn't have to, but he did it because of love. God so loved. All right, so you want to know why we want to create that environment? Because that's the environment that God desires us to have. God loved. God so loved, so we want to so love you. Okay, so that's love. The second one is belong. Someone had said acceptance when we asked the questions. There's something about being accepted that's really important. Have you guys ever been in a situation where you knew something wasn't true, but you really wanted to belong to a group, or maybe it was just a couple people talking, you really wanted to be part of it? And so you said something that maybe was a little true, but you kind of blew it up a little bit so that you could belong, feel like this is that you belong there. I've done that. I can, as far back as I can remember, I've done that. It's something that we don't even often recognize that we're doing. And so it's projecting this image and trying to impress or whatever it is. But what's at the core of it? We actually we want to belong, right? We want people to see our value. We want to belong. Well, we want to make a place right here every Wednesday night where you can come and feel like you belong. And we're gonna try hard to do that. And we can't make it. We can't make you belong here. There's part of it is on your part. We're inviting you into this space, going like, hey, we want this to be yours, so that you can go like, yeah, I feel like I belong. And that's one of the reasons why we actually do the small groups. So we do the talk, and we split into small groups. It gives you the opportunity to get into a closer relationship with other students, to connect with students, to connect with our leaders. Like I said before, our leaders are amazing. By the way, they're here as volunteers, right? They could be doing other things on Wednesday nights, but they're volunteering to come here and be with you guys. I think it's awesome. And so we want to make this place a place where you belong. And finally, this is the scary one, I think. We want it to be a place where you can be known for who you really are and still belong, still be loved. We're not looking for you to come here and pretend that you're super holy or that you are like, I don't know what you want to pretend. But whatever is driving that, what we want you to realize is that, there's not very many, in fact, I don't know, is there any place like that you know of where you could actually be known and still loved by other people, except maybe your family? And maybe not even then, right? Not very many spaces. I can't think of any. And I think that's when God was dreaming up the church, if you could say that kind of language. I think that's partly what he had in mind. A place where you can confess, talk about your weaknesses, maybe even talk about your sins, talk about the things you struggle with. And instead of receiving condemnation, right? People like judging you and going like, you're terrible. That you would receive grace and mercy and love and acceptance. That's really hard, by the way. If you're thinking, oh yeah, we could do that. I'm glad you're thinking that because I really want you to think that. But at the same time, ooh, this is a tough one. A place to be known. It's a bit scary because that means you have to trust other people. And really being known by another person makes you vulnerable, right? Isn't that the scary part? Because who knows? We don't know what they're going to do with that info, right? And so we want, in your groups, we want you guys to create a place where you guys can talk openly with each other and not be worried about things getting back to school or people gossiping. Are you starting to see how hard this is? Yeah? Okay. That's really hard to trust, but we want to do that. And so we want to make it a safe place for everybody in your group. And that involves trust, and that means there's vulnerability. Okay, and so the leaders, our leadership team, we're going to try to do this the best we can. And again, you know what? We need grace and mercy for each other because we're going to fail at times, and you're going to feel like that wasn't very loving, right? It's okay for you to, in fact, if I do something and you actually feel that, you should tell me because I'll be like, oh, I'm sorry. I might not even know, right? And so it's actually a good thing because if it's a safe place, you can actually do that. And instead of getting in trouble, you might even get an apology, kind of like, oh, I'm sorry. That's not what I was shooting for. And so this is kind of where this is all funneling down to. My desire, the reason I want it to be a safe place for you guys is that throughout life, and especially in Christianity, in faith, you're going to have to wrestle through some doubts and wrestle with faith itself. Faith is tough. It's not easy. When you were little, it was easy for the most part. But as you grow older, it becomes more difficult. The doubts are heavier and hit harder. And so here's how I want to, this is not my statement. This is a statement from Dallas Willard. He's a dead theologian. But he's written some amazing stuff. And here's one of the things that I actually heard him say. It was on a video I was watching years and years ago. But he said, don't just doubt your beliefs. He said, doubt your doubts. And believe your beliefs. You can do both. You can wrestle with the things that you think you might believe or not, but you need to wrestle with doubt. And so if you have doubts, we don't want them to hold you hostage because that's what they do. That's this whole idea of asking questions and creating this environment is so that you can actually wrestle with the doubts that are there. I know there's doubts. I still have doubts about tons of things. But that statement from Dallas Willard a long time ago has been helpful for me for years and years. I'm like, yeah, I need to kind of doubt the doubts, right? Not just believe the doubts. I need to doubt them too. But to wrestle with these truths. And so some of you guys have grown up going to church, and so you might know lots of the answers. That's great. But don't let the desire to be accepted or to be seen a certain way make you push down the doubts and never ask. Because here's the thing. I've been a youth pastor for a really long time. And what I've seen is a lot of students over the years, and this is also like out there in youth books, youth ministry books and stuff, is students who don't have the opportunity to express their doubts when they're teenagers. Like you're not allowed. You just have to believe this. And if you're doubting, you're, oh. Who knows what the next statement is, but it's bad. When you get to university, there's a huge chance your faith is just going to crumble because it's not really built on anything except for someone else's answers. And so for you to make your faith your own, which is one of the things that we desire here in our youth ministry, that's one of the things we're shooting for in the end, is you're going to have to learn how to wrestle with faith. You're going to have to learn how to be okay with expressing doubts and asking questions. because I think it's super important. And so we want to provide that space here now before you get to university, so that you've had those doubts, you've had those questions and doubts dealt with. Okay, so that's the environment that we want to create here. And the last part, I'm just going to go really quickly through. It's just what we're trying, the whole why. Well, why would we try to do this? Well, ultimately, I'm going to lay my cards on the table so you can see the reason we do a talk, the reason that we have small groups, the reason that we want you guys to be in close relationship, ultimately is because we want you to get to know Jesus and to love him, right? To actually go like, God, I can actually have a personal relationship with God. That's it. That's why we're doing Wednesday nights. Like at its core, we just want you to know and love Jesus. And so this is a great place to discover Jesus, maybe for the first time. This might be your first time in church. I don't know. But also to be on that path where you continually get to discover more and more about who God is, and who Jesus is, and how this all fits, and how this all works. Because we're going to talk about Jesus a lot, right? Every week. In fact, there's not very many weeks where we're not going to talk about Jesus. And we believe that loving Jesus is what will be the most important thing you gain from actually coming to youth group. That you actually have a personal relationship with God, with Jesus. Secondly, we want you to make your faith your own, and I already talked about that, so I'm not going to go through my notes here. But we're going to be committed to teaching the Bible, teaching the truth. But here's what we don't want to do. We don't want to tell you what to think. We don't even really want to tell you what to believe. We want to lay the truth out. Because I believe wholeheartedly, if you can discover those things for yourself and learn how to think, that will take you a long, long ways down the road. So we're not here to try to indoctrinate you with a bunch of Bible truths. Which the Bible truths are great. But indoctrination does not work very well. In fact, even the word, you might be like, what? Sounds bad. I don't know what it means, but it sounds bad. We actually want you guys to be on this journey to discover these things, and so that your faith actually belongs to you and isn't just about somebody else's answers. Okay, thirdly, we want you to care about the things that God cares about. That's one of the hardest things. Because what does God care about? I think what God cares about most is people. If you read the Bible from cover to cover, it seems like he cares a lot about people. Like a lot. And so that's I think where it begins. It actually begins with actually learning to care about people, understanding that God's designed them a certain way. And it also includes God cares about, here's a big word we're going to throw out there, your sanctification. You're like, what? All that means that what God's work is in your life is that he's taking all the events, all the things that are happening, and he wants to make you more like Jesus. Because that's the work that he's doing. That, for me, that sounds exciting. That may not sound exciting for you yet, but at some point, if you keep coming and dig in and learn to love Jesus, be like, yeah, I kind of want to be like him. Okay, I'm just going to skip ahead here because we need to go to a small group. Fourth thing, and I mentioned this already, ultimately what it all comes down to is if you have Christian parents, we want to partner with them because I know what their heart is. They want you to follow Jesus, right? They want you to follow Jesus. And so we're partnering with them to help. And we want to see you stand in your faith because the statistics are really depressing. And so we want to reverse that in our little space here. We want to do our best to help you guys prepare for the journey after youth group. Okay, last statement. If you love Jesus and learn how to be known and love others as well as be known and be loved and belong, that you've gone full in going like, yeah, I want to make my faith my own. So I'm going to wrestle through some of these doubts I'm going to think about some of the things that I believe, and because I actually want it to be mine. And you learn to care about the things that God cares about. In what I think you'll stand. Because right on the very core of that whole thing is because you have a relationship with Jesus, a real relationship with Jesus. When you have a really close relationship with someone, you don't just for no reason just decide to, it's not real. It's all fairy tales. Right? We want you to get to know Jesus himself. And that's why we have this strategy, is so that you can discover him and make your faith your own.